left the military when I was 27. So for 94, 95, 96 and 97, I was already been in the army then since I was 18. So when I first came back onto international athletics, I wasn't really committed to it. You know, I was just a strong female soldier that used to take all the guys on assault courses and, you know, with tabbing and weapons and weights and things. And I was just so strong, you know. So I was strong in mind, first of all, which I think really helped. And then when I got into athletics, I almost wasn't scared of anyone because I didn't know anyone, having been out of the world of athletics for a long time by then. And so when I first went onto the track at a national championships, I qualified, like literally, it's just so weird, the process, because I was running for the army and they started to put me in the men's team because they kept saying, you can't run against the women because you keep lapping them. So like go in the men's, so you push yourself. So I ended up going in the men's at this army championships, 1,500 meters, and coming third out of 14 runners. And it took me from like a really sort of club standard time to a national, you know, really good national time. So then I went to the national championships and suddenly I'm winning the national championships and being number one in Great Britain for 1,500 meters, you know, within like 3 races. And then it was like, but the year before that was even weirder, is that I wasn't even into my athletics at all, but I'd won the inter-services, so that's Army, Navy, Air Force in the UK. And I'd won with the guys. And they said, why did you go to the national championships? And I was like, I had no idea, you know, I'm just and I got called out as Corporal Holmes, you know, on the track, which of course would have been weird to my competitors. No one knew me. No one knew that I'd had a school career, as they were still in the school. And I ended up winning, like literally winning, and taking myself into like a world-class time into the World Championships. It was like that quick, the transition. But I think that's about discipline, not being fearful. Then once you start to understand about your competitors and you're up against them, then you start getting worried. That's when it all starts going a bit more, you know, when you have that attitude like, oh, I don't care, you know, just run, see what happens. It was all going well.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I just won loads of medals, you know, within that first bit. My first Commonwealth Games, I won gold. 2 weeks later, I won silver at the European Championships. The following year, I won 2 World Championship medals. I was still serving full time. I used to use my leave to go away and compete and then come back and umpire a rounders match. I mean, that's how crazy it was.
Yeah. So it sounds in many ways that the military did have a positive impact on your athletic career. Positive, I guess, and negative. You know, you were putting probably a lot of, you know, being a PT in the army and, you know, putting a lot of impact on your body, but positive from a mental perspective and you knowing or believing that you could achieve anything.
Yeah, so it was more the fact that I was working full time. So physically I was doing all of that, and that was actually part of my athletics training, because obviously the strength work was a lot, and then I just had to sort of run around the track a couple of times, you know. That's what it was like early days. But it puts a toll on your body, of course. But I was so strong at that time. I didn't have a breakdown for the first 3 years competing. And then when I actually did less of the strength work, more of the running, that's when my injury problems started. So that first games that I went to at 26, even fourth in the final and only got picked to fourth by a 10th of a second away from bronze, I ran with a stress fracture. I was actually running the heat semi-final and final with a stress fracture, you know. So that's mind over matter. That's kind of like, you know, stupidity in one way, but determination in another, because Olympics are only every 4 years, you know, and you never know if you're going to get to another one. And I was serving, I was a military soldier, I'd come to Olympic Games, I'm like, there's no way I'm going home, you know. And that was my attitude that I had at that time. So whilst and it was a really good one in that sense, but of course it has an impact on you, you know, and your mental thought process injuries as well as your physical.
Yeah, I love, thank you. I love the fact that when you were training, that you did something that was really unheard of at the time, and you trained with your rival. So instead of you seeing it as a limitation, you said that, you realised that your skill set complemented her skill set.
Yeah.
You do say that to be the best, you have to surround yourself with people better than you. So after Sydney, you started training with Maria Matola, who was seen as one of your biggest rivals at that point. What was it like training with someone like Maria? Do you think this had contributed to your success in 2004?
Yeah, so I went to train with her at the end of 2002. So I'd won the Commonwealth Games in Manchester, I got silver in the European Championships, but I was going around sort of the same cycle of, kind of getting to an end of season or part of the season. I was injured, and, I was 32 then. And I knew that the next Olympic Games would probably be my last, having won a bronze in Sydney, where Maria won gold. And obviously, I'd known Maria for years as an athlete and competitor, because she won the first World Championships back in '93 that I sat watching the final when I only got to the semi. This is how long I've known her. She was probably one of the best middle distance runners in the world ever for 800 meters. And she was living in South Africa, and I've been training in South Africa for years, and I'd also know her coach, Margot Jennings. So I'd actually said to her, Coach, would Maria mind me coming to train with her? I'm going for the 1500, she's obviously 800, maybe we would complement each other. And the difference that I realised, and the reason why it was so positive, in one sense a little bit negative, at some times actually, which I'll go into in a minute, but very positive in a way that she'd been an athlete who'd never got injured, literally had no injuries. So she had this, you could probably see the glow around her of that air of confidence, because she was unbeaten for years and years and years. And when you've got someone like that, it's a different world. I was kind of always like, kind of fighting back from injury and overeating chocolate because I was pissed up and down, and she was like, kind of always this blinkered athlete. And so when I met her and started training with her, all I could see, it was all like down, training, eating properly, sleeping like that. It was literally regimented, and that was a massive change for me. A good one in a way, because I'm thinking, okay, if I need to be the best, she's the best. If I need to be the best, I've got to have that mentality. So I could only do it by being in her environment, because when you're in the UK, our environment's very different. Lifestyles are very different. When I was in South Africa, it was rural. It was kind of, I was only there to train. So by training with her, brought me on in one sense, because she was so strong and powerful. I mean, like literally so strong. So I upped my game, my strength, and I was really good at speed endurance. So I would pull her on those sessions. She would pull me the others. So the complementary factor was really good. But of course, both in our mindset, and especially mine, I'm just a 1500 meter runner, even though I have to say, I'd always doubled up and done 815. So realistically, I probably wasn't 800. But it was more her coach that I wanted, because her coach was like this small, she used to be a primary school teacher, coach Eugene, Oregon, wear flat cap and socks up with her sandals on, that kind of look. But she was so motivating, and she said to me, write down your weaknesses and write down your strengths. And I only wrote 2 strengths, and I had a list of weaknesses. She said, you've got to change. You need to change your mindset. You need to change to believe in yourself more, and you have to know that those things on that list need to be moved over. And it was all about injuries and setbacks and everything. So I changed my approach, and that just helped me elevate my confidence so much more as an athlete. I mean, it didn't stop some things that happened later on in between Athens and that, but it certainly, from a performance perspective, even though I'd been very successful and at that stage had won, before I went to her, 8 international medals, it took me to another level of believing.